You know what? I just made that Texas video. I'm gonna go right into another video about why money is the root of all evil. I have said many times that this pandemic, and I say pandemic because that's the word, but the lockdowns are the problem, and I've said it from the beginning. In the very beginning, I mean, I wasn't making videos then, but on Twitter, I was saying from every step of the way, I was like, when when in Italy they said they were going to shut down to try to stop the spread of the virus, I got scared in a way. Like, I was like, but how do you know when to open back up? Because once you shut down, as a fan of movies, my favorite kind of movies sometimes were the dystopian movie. And once things shut down, they don't open back up. Once you call emergency powers, that's it. You don't go back to democracy. So when Italy's like, we're just going to shut down to stop, I'm like, but how do you know? Because once the germ is out, it's out. You're never going to have it gone. There's been no disease that just, it's gone. Now, okay, go back to normal. And it's the thing of something like Ebola, where they get rid of it sometimes and it comes back. Ebola's back right now. You know, so when this started happening and they were like, let's shut this down, let's shut that down, I was thinking in the days after 9/11 and how like a week of the planes not flying really did a number on our economy. And I'm like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to have things shut down? Because the economy will crash and then everybody will die. So yeah, there's a germ, but if the economy crashes, then what? And like I said, I don't know how it's still there. I know the stock market is up, but the economy should have crashed if our banking system was real, because there's no way that there's actual money sitting somewhere that if you try to balance the books, they will balance. There's no way. There's no way that there's the amount of green stuff or gold stuff out there in the world that our economy is still working. So it's all numbers on a board, stock market and stuff like that. And that's one of the main reasons why money has always been the root of all evil, but that's why it's so bad now. And so many things come from that. So when in this country we started to have cases of coronavirus, and New York was the first place where it was going bananas, of course, because everybody lives on top of each other, and it's always been, and from the beginning, you should have said New York is being affected more than other places. Yes, it came into New York, I believe, through that ship that docked in Bayonne. That's my theory, that ship that docked in Bayonne let the people out. They were probably contaminated, but they only held back the Chinese people on that boat because they were racist, and they let everybody else's out, and everybody else's went and coughed on everybody in the tri-state area, and then there it went. But the thing is, New York City, social distancing, forget it. New York City, people are on top of each other. In 2 weeks' time, a germ will spread. So if it takes 2 weeks for you to notice you're sick, in those 2 weeks after the germs escaped the boat from Bayonne, the ship, and it went all the way into the tri-state area, and people are coming back and forth, commuting back and forth from Jersey, commuting back and forth from Long Island. The people who were probably in Manhattan and in the boroughs in the first place, it spread like wildfire. So you knew that congested area, meaning people living on top of each other, was the key to spread this thing. So as we started to get things, the first thing that shut down that I remember was basketball. It was, I don't even know what team he owns. I know Mark Cuban owns one of the teams. I think he was the first one to say, no, I'm shutting it down, and then everybody else shut down or something. I don't watch basketball, but I know it has to do with Mark Cuban and the NBA. It was the first thing to shut. And I felt like, okay, once he did that, everybody else was going to start doing it. And he could be a wonderful human being. He's always trying to, every once in a while I hear about him being involved. He, like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and all these really rich dudes, start deciding that they know things because they're ultra rich and they want to do this and they want to do that and they want to tell people what to do. Whatever. So he could have the best intentions. However, I guarantee you, when you shut down because of a germ, yeah, you may have a kind heart, but somewhere there's a lawyer going, libel, libel, lawsuits, lawsuits. If you have a bunch of people in a stadium and they get contaminated from sitting in your stadium, they could all sue you. So you better shut it down. And there aren't bigger decisions made on a daily basis because people are worried about lawsuits. So liability and lawsuits, and therefore lawyers, are where this root of all evil with money comes from, because there's so many things right now. Like right now, if you go to the hospital and there's something wrong with you and you want to be treated well and you want to have a discussion with your doctor and you want to get the right treatment for you, you're going to get the treatment that your hospital administration and your health insurance company have decided on that is the most economically sound for them to waste their money on to treat you. And they will get away with only telling you what the treatment is that they want because they're all in cahoots to call it the standard of care. So the standard of care means one size fits all. And when some of us who are old enough remember going to the doctor and being able to talk to the doctor and deciding amongst yourselves what you want to do about a problem, we know those days are long gone. And it has to do with standard of care, because if you go to the doctor and you want they want to give you treatment A, which is standard, but you say, I got a feeling I should do this other thing, and your health insurance doesn't cover it, or the hospital doesn't want to do it, they will insist that you do, or they will push as much as they can. If you're poor and you're on some kind of Medicare or, state-run thing, you're going to get what they want you to have or nothing. Or if you don't want that, you're going to be written down as, it's not disobedient. What is it called? I don't know. It's some word that says you're not non-compliant. So you're a bad person if you're non-compliant. Anyway, they will want to give you the standard of care, because if they give you the standard of care and you die, your relatives cannot really come back and sue them because you got the standard of care. So if you really felt that there was some other treatment that would have worked on you, it's not the standard of care. You didn't have the money in your pocket to either force them to do it or tell them to do it or go to somebody who would do it, which if it becomes the standard of care, if everybody's in cahoots, a fat chance you're going to get a second opinion in somebody who's going to do something different. That's, going to be like, you threading a needle now, finding somebody who's going to do something that's outside of that standard of care. So you go to the doctor, you want to get treated, you get treatment A, which you had a strong feeling was not going to work for you, it didn't work for you, you die. It doesn't matter if you protest, it doesn't matter what you said, you got the standard of care, your family can't sue. That's how medical decisions are made for you and me and everybody else. Most of this pandemic, like I said, once the NBA shut down, Broadway shut down, things start shutting down, yes, some people may have been afraid of a pandemic, but the underlying fear, honestly, because people don't really care about other people that much. Some people do, most people don't, especially people who run things. Their thing is liability. Am I going to get sued? All right, I'm going to shut down instead of getting sued, because as much money as I might lose, if it's only 15 days, then I will shut down so that nobody can say they came into my restaurant. Nobody can say they came into my performing arts center. Nobody can say they came into my place and got sick and sue me for millions of dollars that I don't have. So I'll shut down for a week and a half or 2 weeks, and I'll lose that money because it's much better than getting sued for millions of dollars by people who say I caused their relative's death. Okay, there's no way that didn't play a part in every decision that was made to lock down our states, because once you start having companies have to shut down and, They're going to, well, why didn't you protect us? Why didn't you close our borders? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Again, people start thinking of blame. People start thinking of whose fault is it? Where can I sue? You know, who can I get my reparations from? Who can I get, you know, I want compensation from my dead relative. I want to sue these people because they didn't protect me. It's one thing. There's malpractice. Malpractice is one thing. But what has happened is this idea that people suing people for what they didn't do. People suing people because you should have done this, you should have done that. That's why hospitals are so cancer crazy, because they're worried about people suing because they didn't do enough stuff. They didn't do enough treatment. They didn't do enough, you know what I mean? So they err on the side of doing a bunch of shit and doing a bunch of tests and doing as much as possible, whether it's necessary or not, just so nobody can say they were negligent. They didn't, you needed this test. They didn't screen you for that. So much of what we're going through right now is that people in decision-making positions, presidents of companies, vice presidents, CEOs, these people, they make decisions that are basically, we don't want to get sued. Do whatever we have to do to get sued. We don't want any liability. You know what I mean? And that's what it all comes down to. So everybody lives in this fear of getting sued that makes them do the wrong thing, that makes them worry about, so, you know, losing money, basically. And that's why everything that's happened. So all the money that's been lost, the economy that's gone to hell, all the people whose lives are in turmoil, when they think, if they even think for themselves for 5 minutes, oh, well, you know, these people meant well because they were trying to stop the pandemic. They were trying to stop the spread of a disease. They were trying to avoid lawsuits. Okay? So when you think that, when you realize how much is done in our world, because if you think, sit there and think right now about something in your life that wasn't fair and somehow you got screwed out of something or somebody did the wrong thing, I'm willing to bet somewhere along the line it had to do with somebody trying to avoid a lawsuit, somebody trying to avoid liability. So who in the end is the problem? It's the lawyers. It's the lawyers and their willingness to sue for every stinking thing. You know, there's people who do wrong. And if somebody really does the wrong thing and you suffer from that, then yeah, you should be able to sue them. But when people, the absence of action, and then people sue for that, like you didn't do everything you could to protect my kid, or you didn't do everything you could, or you didn't, like when people don't hire somebody because they had something in their past, it's because they don't want somebody, they don't want this person who could have just made one mistake years ago to do something wrong again. They don't want anybody saying that they didn't properly screen their employees, they didn't vet their employees enough, and they had somebody working at, I don't know, Burger King who had some criminal past, and you know, now they're saying that the person did something to their kid, who knows, and they sue Burger King because one person somewhere, an employee did something, and they're going to say, well, you didn't properly screen your employee, so we're suing you. Then that causes a corporation to only hire people with a pristine record, and all the people who may have made a mistake or did something wrong, or they don't, you know what I mean, there's no chance. So I'm trying to say it's all stemming from this thing of money and not making money, but not losing money by being sued for negligence or some other kind of liability thing. And that's why everything gets ruined, because of a fear of these lawsuits. And I know that that's what happened. I know that, yeah, people could have been really worried about a germ, but I guarantee you they were worried about the germ spreading in their establishment, and then they're getting sued. And that's why we started seeing things locked down. That's why government ended up locking down, because businesses started locking, you know, businesses started closing first in fear of the virus, which was supposed to be a fear of the virus, but it was a fear of, I'm 100% positive. I hate to say that. I'm 99.9% positive, but there could have been some decent people, but the underlying cause was a fear of litigation over negligence or something based on you didn't close your place. Because you didn't close your place, my cousin went in there, my next door neighbor's nephew's dog went in there, got the virus and died. I'm suing you for $11 million. So now we're all in this hot mess situation because people didn't want to get sued. They didn't want to lose money. There's so much, like I said, that comes from that. So much of our lives are affected every day because somebody doesn't want to get sued. Teachers can't teach because they can't be nice to their children. They can't give them a hug if their parent dies because they'll get sued for being, they'll get fired because the school will say you can't touch kids, and you'll get sued. So I mean, there's like a million and one things that a fear of being sued by people trying to get money, or people, whether people are justified in trying to get money or not, it's the fear of being sued for money that causes so many of the bad decisions that are being made in our world right now. And I don't even know if this video makes sense anymore because I started rambling. I have too many ideas in my head. I'm sorry if it did. I'm sorry if you listened to this and it made no sense. But I'm fed up with the way everything's happening, and it's clear to me that all the stupid decisions in this world are being made because of money. That money is the root of all evil was the most, what do you gotta call it, a cliche or a proverb? I don't even know what it is, but it's the most true thing that I've ever heard in my life.